Hello, my name's Ian Murphy. I'm the editor at Enterprise Times and senior analyst at Synonym Advisory. Today, with my panel of guests, we're going to talk about AI in cybersecurity, the challenges it brings, and the pitfalls that may await us. I'd like to ask my panel to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Piotr Bargiel, currently with the European Commission Joint Research Center, responsible for cybersecurity. I'm patiently waiting for the questions of Jan.
Hello, my name is Krzysztof Stępień. I'm from Blik and I'm responsible there also for cybersecurity.
Hello, my name is Stanisław Sopel. I'm a general counsel in G2A. I'm responsible mainly for legal matters, but recent years also for cybersecurity.
Hello, I'm Łukasz Krzykwa. I'm director at local Mastercard office responsible for our cyber and intelligence solutions.
Let's start with a relatively simple question, gentlemen. Let's define what we really mean by AI in cybersecurity. Like to go first?
Thank you very much for giving me a hard start. It's difficult at the level of defining intelligence itself. Very often people like we are humans are mixturing like automation and super fast processing with artificial intelligence. For me, artificial intelligence is something that can produce to you as a human unexpected results, because if you have expected results just computed fast, it is not artificial intelligence, it's just doing boring things very, very, very fast. But if you are able to bring extra value out of the massive data, structure, not structure, here comes the appearance of the intelligence. And then way to train, way to gain more and more, remove bias, you are becoming to have an artificial intelligence model at work.
I would say I totally agree.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I also want to add that AI is not a glass ball. It is not a magic box that we can pull out of rabbits. The algorithms behind it is nothing new. It's relatively known, old, and we as a human trying to build AI for our purpose, we should be aware how it works, train it, and measure the results. So I would say it's an effective tool to help us to deal with massive amount of events and data we have, especially in cybersecurity. But we always have to be aware that this could lead us into somewhere else we were expecting. I hope we'll talk also about the vulnerabilities of AI later.
So in my opinion, artificial intelligence in cybersecurity is just a tool. We don't see the full picture, I mean, what AI is going to bring to the cybersecurity, but definitely a mixture with a human power, in my opinion, will bring some enormous results, especially when you look at the data that AI can digest, which is impossible for any human. And I think it's especially important for any company who struggle with the human capacity. It's not easy to find the proper people to work in this field, and an artificial intelligence might be very helpful with that.
Yeah, I especially like the first comment around AI being something more that we can do. I mean, the whole idea of the machine learning, deep learning, the fact that it can get better on its own. This is something that for me defines actually the artificial intelligence itself. And in AI, in cybersecurity, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, with all the advantages, using the power, the computing power, how it can be efficient, well, both sides can actually do it. And this is when this becomes, I would say, one of the critical aspects on how to put it to good use and how to make it secure itself.
We could spend 2 hours unpicking those responses. So let me choose a line here. We've got a problem in the industry in that everybody wants to say they're using AI in their cybersecurity tooling. The problem is that a lot of those are not AI. They are just simply faster ways of doing what they did before. The comment was made about replacing people or having it do things faster and do things that we don't do. How do we move away from a tool that is exceptionally good at analyzing vast blocks of data and giving us a result to getting a tool that can actually make that cognitive jump that we as humans make, but actually systems are generally quite bad at making that jump? Who wants to go first? I'll pick someone. Go on.
Okay, so as Mastercard, we've been using AI as any other companies that's around fraud detection, fraud protection, identity, digital identity. So we've been using it for years. The jump that you're talking about, for me, it takes place when actually you can really make the decisioning behind. So and not only look at the result, but actually be pretty much convinced based on the vast amount of data that the decisions taken are actually the best and in the best interest. So it's about this, a bit about this black box. It's not a black box for our data scientists, but it becomes quite invisible for anyone that benefits from us using that technology. Like, every card transaction in the world right now goes through our AI tools, AI engines. Nobody knows. We are able to explain what happened because actually, as Mastercard, we have very strict ground rules on how we work with AI. So it has to be, amongst others, transparent, but it's invisible. The added value is not around how quickly, how fast. It's about measuring the risk and giving an advice what to do with it. So this is when it makes this one step further for us.
Yeah, I would say this massive jump using artificial intelligence comes with the results. Sometimes you just don't you are surprised with the results because it's so fast. It's easier obviously, and like my friend said, sometimes we even don't know that we use artificial intelligence in the background. Some basic tools we use in G2A for like many years already, we are surprised with the results. So I think that's the biggest advantage.
Again, I would say I agree with my predecessors. AI, we observe the years of AI in cybersecurity as we observe other technologies in previous years. So the last two are the years of AI. So we have AI almost in every product of every big vendor, from the area of security for threat detection, for threat analysis, even for automatic responses. And as it was also said by Łukasz, we take the output as it is. As security professionals, what I don't agree with, we rather take outputs, not think about the algorithms behind or the logic behind. So we have to be very careful what the outputs are, and rather took them as a suggestion of how to or what the other steps are with this information we receive from AI, than to blindly take them and especially automatically respond. We at Blik not started with AI a long time ago, as we are a relatively new company on the market. We take AI with the security products out of the box as they are, and as I said, we use them carefully rather than suggestions, and to tune up the rules and the policies. But we also try to use AI in a business. It's maybe not related to my job and my duties at the company, but I know that we try to use it to proceed or to analyze the vast number of data also not the security related.
Again, being a little bit a small devil in here, I love the usage of the tools that are called artificial intelligence. They are improving, helping. I have a pleasure to see laboratories of the models that will not give you information about what happened in the past, the cognitive approach, whatever. They are thinking about the future. So these predictions, when the predictions will come true at a certain level, I will be happy and I will say that's the artificial intelligence. So far, I rather think it's like a super sophisticated, super fast machine learned computation rather than pure intelligence itself. But it's just a comment. Usage of those tools, of course, is extremely beneficiary so far. But the jump I just described, it will be something that we just cannot imagine.
So I had an ulterior motive for asking that question, and that is I've heard a number of SOCs over the last 2 years talk about starting to replace their level 1 SOC analysts with artificial intelligence-based systems.
Yep.
That's fine if all we're going to do is take log files, analyze log files, and assume that a level 1 SOC analyst simply does a basic analysis. But they don't. They're looking for that little bit of their job where they can pull together different bits of analysis and suddenly make a connection. To codify that becomes quite hard because we codify in linear processes. Yep. We don't codify in parallel, and we certainly don't codify in random decisions. Is it realistic that we can start to remove layers of our cybersecurity teams and replace them purely by AI, or do we still need to make this understanding of what is machine-driven and what is human-driven?
So maybe me?
Yeah.
At the moment. AI needs data to be reliable. So this also means that it is smart to use managed services. What we observe separately from the AI, we as businesses, especially not the biggest ones, we use managed services for several tasks within the security stack. Especially the first line, first and second line. So that means we feed with the information the managed service, the company that specializes in particular task, the simple task, before it will be filtered to the level that an insider has to look at. When we feed other companies, they get massive amount of data to put AI to work. So those two things going together makes sense. And I think this is the way we should go. But first we have to fight the barriers of sharing the data. We have a lot of regulations that make for us difficult to use managed services in the areas where we talk about sensitive information for the companies. But we have tools to anonymize or pseudo-anonymize the data and feed the external AI to do the job for us and give us opportunity and free some human capital, our internal human capital, to do the advanced or highly business-oriented jobs, also in security.
Anybody else?
Like I said in the beginning of this conference, that we don't see the full potential of AI, and I'm sure we're not going to see it in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe. But the sweet spot of using artificial intelligence right now is to have a perfect mixture of human capacity and AI, and cannot be easily replaced, especially that we lack of legal regulations behind cybersecurity AI. We know that the European Union is doing something to to regulate this field. I think my colleague would say more probably from the Brussels perspective. But what about the US, where we see the companies who are in the race?
Mm-hmm.
We definitely lack the regulations in their side. So I think we should start with like you said, maybe replacing this simple task
Mm-hmm.
in our SOC departments, and we'll see what's going to happen next.
Can I just jump back to the
Of course you
question? Okay. So the question is if we will split or will replace levels of the people or the approaches that we are having to the problems that we are seeing inside our computers networks. Never. Sorry, but never.
Mm-hmm.
We will never replace a person. Very, very simple. The first line is an event, something that is happening in your
Mm-hmm.
network, and those are millions of them,
Yep.
not hundreds, millions every day, every hour, depending to the quality and complexity of your environment. Convert this to alert. This is something where we put computation, machine learning, artificial intelligence in order to decrease hundreds of people sitting and thinking maybe this is a problem, maybe this is not the problem, that the temperature on the tank number 73 in the Kazakhstan is high or low. Replacing this is never 100% possible, but replacing many of those people into the simple algorithms, that is the target that we are having right now and that we are witnessing. We see that there's a huge amount of the successful implementations helping people, helping environments with the triage. This is positive, this is not positive, this is positive, positive, and this is false positive, and stuff like this. But this is just the beginning of everything. Then, from the alert, what we do as action. If artificial intelligence will help us on that layer, how to recover, how to come back to business as usual. Again, this will be the target via artificial intelligence that I would like to have and I would like to see. But even though, if it's going to be existing, it will never replace human. At the end, maybe a little amount of experts, but you need them.
I think it's also about a trust, like trust becoming a currency. Can I trust an external vendor with my data? Can I do it legally? Which is by far right now very much of a concern, especially in those regulated markets like ours here in Europe. But can I really believe that the results that I'm getting, and I don't control this black box, are they okay? Are they really credible? Didn't anyone tamper with the learning process, with the data on the learning process of the AI itself? So I mean, it's really hard to make that kind of a decision. Now, from the level of what you said, the first goal and the first benefit was actually to reduce the number of the false positives when analyzing this huge amount of traffic, for example, in the network. And here, the success is undoubtful. It's just that then the actions, I mean, okay, so we can give an advice. Can I trust the advice from the external party? Who should actually verify it? When you have your internal AI, it's a bit different, but still, I mean, I think we think little about actually who was behind the learning process, who actually secured the environment when those algorithms were doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, you know, there's been successful tests that you tamper with a little amount of data, up to 8% of the data that is used for the machine learning, and you get totally different results. And were those environments secure? I mean, probably you read that with the training of the famous conventional bot that everyone is using right now. They actually had to get rid of the mess of data that they didn't want the chatbot to learn. So this was a manual process, because otherwise the results would be quite like what Google did. They would have an AI that is not necessarily the kind one.
And that is a known challenge. I mean, if we go back 10 years, when IBM first introduced Watson and started to talk about Watson in a medical environment, one of the challenges it had was that it had to completely unload the Watson data set to make significant changes to the source data and then reload and relink all the data because of the way the connections were made. But it brings us back to two really big challenges around the data. The first is that if we look at data, much of the data we use is limited sets of data. We don't have a wide view of data. Can we realistically look at a solution from a vendor who's built their AI based on their customers' data, assuming all those customers allow them access to that anonymized data, and say that that is going to solve all of our problems? I'll do the second question in a minute.
I mean, practically it's impossible. You can rely on, the partner.
Magic word, vendor, was inside this phrase.
I mean, from the legal standpoint, it's impossible to secure your client to use, the artificial intelligence in a way that only he knows how it was made. And of course, you can have special clauses preventing from the outcome. But it's a massive risk for any company. And you should have, as a vendor, you should have a big insurance policy, definitely.
And that leads us neatly to the second part.
If it's possible.
Yeah, leads me neatly to the second part of this question, which is the regulatory one, which you touched on just now. And that is, we've seen in financial services in the US and in Europe a weakening of what was previously, you must be absolutely isolated as companies and keep your data separate. With the anonymization we've started to see a sharing of data, particularly around fraud, between financial services companies that has been welcomed by the regulator because it's enabled the underlying systems to better build their databases. How widespread is that sharing? And how much further do we need to go, not just at an industry body level, but also with support from regulators so that we don't hit hurdles? I am going to come to you first from an EU perspective.
Okay, how wide it is? Come on, you can just go to Facebook and buy any type of metadata if you're rich enough. So that's wide. It's really, you can buy anything about the data, and that's what we are talking about. Because to process and really to train the good and sophisticated AI models, you need information rather than the data itself. You don't care about if it's structured, the data behind. If it's not structured, where it's coming from. I paid for it, I installed it, I have it. You're just trying to create a proper results out of the thinking about the cognitive approach to the set of information. And how wide is this? You're gonna be surprised how wide is this. Companies in China, we were just talking before starting our session here, you could just appear at the ATM, any type of ATM, showing your face. You sold your biometric, by the way, in advance, and there is no card, there is no contactless. They're just saying, okay, Mr. Wong, here's your money. So, and this piece of data, this description of me in this country and that country is just everywhere. Of course, this is the government driven. This is big size big scale, extremely big scale of data silos. But I think this is the target where other countries will also go. So it's not the perspective of view. This is a perspective of, I think, the most advanced usage of or abusage of the personal data in the wild.
I would say Mastercard, it's privacy by design. I mean, one of the basis of actually processing data, not even using AI, it's more about processing data, is privacy by design. So we only process the data that we are entitled to, we secure it in the best possible manner, and then there is a distinction. What is actually a personal data, what is not? I mean, I've spent hours with different lawyers with different opinions. What is not, whether anonymizing, pseudo-anonymizing, does it solve the issue? What is actually the data processing within, outside of European Economic Area? There's a lot of legal stuff around. I believe that personally, this needs, I would say, more transparent and common interpretations as well. But when we do not need to touch any personal data, definitely the ecosystem benefits from the scale. I mean, we are able to analyze every card transaction. We don't know who's behind. We don't really analyze that part. The part that we analyze are actually the certain patterns. Is it okay that one card made a transaction within a couple of hours from the totally distant places in the world? Stuff like this. It's not about the data of the user. When moving more to a personal data, then definitely we need to follow the regulations. And this is like a basic standpoint.
So let me explore that a little bit further. we're seeing a lot of use of ChatGPT at the moment. Everybody's boasting on LinkedIn about how they're saving themselves all these hours at work. A good example, a recent LinkedIn post that I read was, I had to do the PowerPoint for my company's financial presentation, so I fed the data to ChatGPT and it made my PowerPoint. But now your company financials are inside ChatGPT's engine. Very sensitive company data. But there's no question that things like ChatGPT have some advantages. But let's look here at a risk that it brings to us. How do we ring fence data? How do we teach people how to ring fence data when they feed it to an AI, when they think that this AI can improve stuff? Because this impacts us from a cybersecurity perspective, because now our corporate data is being leaked out into another AI-based engine that will deliver that to anybody who asks the right question.
I would love to see the company's secret policy for this one, sending the financial data to the chat. I would love to see this. I'm just passing the answer to the next one. I'm just thinking about the sample.
But this is not the new thing, that we as a security do anything possible to stop users in our companies to put protected or sensitive data out of the company resources. It's nothing new, so ChatGPT doesn't differ here. These are the same tools. We try to block and we also try to educate users what is allowed and what is not. Of course, it might be, it could lead people, or the rumor around ChatGPT would lead people to put anything into the tool and see the results. And not being wise, they could also put the sensitive data. So we teach people, or we teach employees first not to do that. And data classification within companies is nothing new. If we follow the rules we have for the last 20 years, we shouldn't find the situations where someone feeds ChatGPT with sensitive data. So I wouldn't be scared about that. But of course, there are trials to do that. My colleagues try to write programs and also try to make presentations, but they are aware that not everything could be put there. This is DLP that is in the place, data leakage prevention, that is in place to stop people to transfer PII data, financial data, sensitive data, and all the data that is valuable for company and makes the company to be this company and having this data.
But those tools often rely on detecting that sensitive data being transferred in files, not somebody cutting and pasting in a screen. And that we know that's a problem with a lot of our tools at the moment.
This is still the HTTP traffic. The companies inspect that traffic, no matter if it's encrypted within HTTPS protocol. So we train other AI that supports DLP to find the patterns and to find the sensitive words or company-related words. And again, we put AI to fight against AI, and this is the only approach that is possible in the times of AI. We have to put two AIs against each other, the bad one and the good one.
It's not like this. It's like we are, unfortunately, we are forced to use a tool to protect from abuse of the first tool.
Of the other tool.
Unfortunately, that's the full story.
Yeah, I think it comes to the human factor. I mean, this time
As
it purely comes to the human factor. I mean, at Mastercard we have extensive training, so things like data classification, data protection, cybersecurity, whatever. At the end of the day, if somebody wants to do a shadow IT, that's totally beyond the control. If somebody would like to take any part of the intellectual property of any company and simply use things like, I don't know, a translator, Google Translator, DeepL Translator, it's pretty much the same. You're abusing the policy, you're acting against the policy. I don't believe that it should come to actually having all the prevention tools. They are useful, but it comes rather to people that you work with, as simple as that.
I think the phenomenon of ChatGPT right now is all about curiosity and maybe laziness of people, because they want to try.
It's sexy, it's new.
It's new.
Everybody talks about it.
Come on, preparing for this debate. Who didn't use it?
I don't.
I didn't.
I didn't.
I don't.
And only because the traffic was too big. I couldn't load any data. So yeah, we can obviously work on the awareness of our employees. You know, we can prepare some accurate policies, but we can't, fight against the curiosity of people, and they want to see the potential, and sometimes they just want someone else to do their job.
I mean, a
Can I
large
just give
company.
explanation why I'm not using chat?
Go.
Unfortunately, soon it's going to be for money, and I will be sorry if I get used to it for free. So that's my personal opinion.
So it's all about money.
Yeah, later on.
So that brings us to an interesting challenge. We talk a lot about educating our users. And for large organizations, and certainly a degree of the mid-sized organizations, that's within their budget. They have the money to do that. But supply chains are made up of vast numbers of very small organizations, 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 body organizations. They lack skills, they lack knowledge, they lack the ability to do the training. How do we use AI from a cybersecurity tool perspective to better secure our supply chain, to look at our suppliers, to help our suppliers understand where their weaknesses are, so that we have a better supply chain, a more secure supply chain?
First question that I like. He's improving. Introduce services like my friend on the left side. Introduce managed shared services. Definitely, that's the story. So put the common rules to the chain. If you would like to have a predictable results, you have to cover everybody with the common approaches. If not, you will be surprised by human, of course, as we discussed, by tools, of course, as we discussed, but without setting the proper rules, the same common for the full chain, without helping them. Sometimes, unfortunately, those services from the central point, they have to be for free to the small company, like you said, somewhere else, far away from our headquarters. But I believe that is the most proper approach. And again, this approach is not like replacing the people on those small branches or subcontractors. It's like helping them to have a proper results.
There's often nobody to replace, is there? Many of them don't have any staff in that space. They rely on goodwill of their own staff and people's preparedness to learn themselves.
I would like to ask you for the definition of the goodwill, describe. But yeah, you're right. We are on the same page.
And it's not necessarily their fault always, because there is not enough people on the market. And it's hard to find the right person, and it's expensive to find the right person. So I think the big companies like Mastercard, Blik, maybe they should do not only the cherry picking, choosing the right partners, but also to spend some resources, maybe money even, to educate them, and to be on the same side.
I mean, I personally have run small businesses since 1988. And I have seen many times you train an employee and a larger company comes in and can offer them better benefits, more money. You can't compete. And small businesses lose out. And in many ways, that disincentivizes a small business. And in a complex area like cybersecurity, I just see AI from larger companies, and not just managed services, but large companies being able to look at their supply chain with AI as having a potential.
I mean, depends on what axis you actually take. Is it about your own security in terms of managing the risk of your supply chain, the third-party risk management? Then definitely you're looking at the full scope of your suppliers and their suppliers, and for those things there are AI-based tools. I mean, the tools that are supported with AI, because there's a vast amount of data to be analyzed, and then you can also look at some predictive analysis of what is let's say, the probability that somebody's going to get breached, for example, or ransomware attack, and you're going to suffer. I mean, those are the things that are happening as we speak. But then there is also this approach that, okay, so what I'm going to do if I find out that one of my suppliers, being even a small company, actually is rated well low from the perspective of the cybersecurity? Do I tell my vendor, listen, you need to stop working with them? Or would I rather share the data, share the information, or maybe even share some services and provide some services to make those things better? I mean, as Mastercard, we have a global initiative, for example, for SMEs. It's called Strive. I don't recall the exact number, but we spend a huge amount of money to support the SME business. And one of the axes of the support is actually access to cybersecurity solutions, being those trainings, but also things like analyzing the vulnerabilities, stuff like this. So we are doing this for the sake of the development of the payment ecosystem itself. But once again, it's a different perspective of using the solution to actually be secure in my supply chain, which, by the way, with the regulations of the recent regulations of the Digital Operational Resilience Act, is going to come for the huge part of the industry. When it's going to be, and again, you touched point on the liability. The liability is going to change a bit. So those things are coming from different areas, from the demands, from the regulators. I believe that this is also because of the fact of the scale of what is happening right now in the losses. I mean, again, our research proved that SMEs are much more vulnerable, much more often attacked, actually, because this is simply a P&L for the fraudsters, right, for the attackers. So this is something that will take a lot of attention in the coming years.
Your comment about AI on AI is very interesting. Because yes, if we don't understand the AI and we can't compete at the speed as humans against an AI, we have to use an AI against it. How do we get to the point where we understand what's going on between the two AIs? Because we're unleashing a tool against a tool. And if we think about the biological world, when we've done that in the biological world, that's bitten us badly. We can take Australia and the use of cane toads were taken there purely to control insects, to control crops. They are now a major problem. How do we prevent unleashing an AI to protect us against AI from becoming a similar problem in technology?
I think the most initiatives in AI field, like OpenAI, they are driven by the P&L, and it should not be the case. I think AI is something more than just valuation, because that's actually something which should benefit the society as well. So maybe that perspective will set some boundaries, and of course regulations.
Unfortunately, this tool will be abused, so definitely you will have AI versus AI. Some kind of AI versus some kind of AI. Again, vendor tools will be biased because of the borders set by the vendors. Hacking tools will not have this. They will just be really, really wild. And then we'll have new vendor tools protecting versus the first generation of the AI hacking tools. And this is never-ending story. So the wall is higher and the ladder is higher. That's how the life goes. Unfortunately, again, this is a new tool. We are getting used to it. We like it. This is nice. It's going to be better and better. We are improving. We are happy with the results. This is good. Unfortunately, so much happy is also on the other side, on the bad side of the cyber area that we are representing, and they will also have artificial intelligence. They can also avoid a little bit of the borders set by the creators of the AI engines, and they're using even popular engines to create something wrong, something bad, something harmful to the cyber infrastructure. We'll have it. Unfortunately, we'll have it.
I would say we have it right now. I mean, already the phishing emails, for example, are being prepared by AI. By the way, they are clicked much more often than those prepared by people, by the human factor. So this is already in place. But I think one point is a bit missed, that to actually have a really good AI, you need to spend a lot of money. So I think in the background, apart from the companies who are right now like in the forefront, there are things we do not see, maybe on the state level. And those things, I believe, are going to be like everywhere when you have like unlimited resources. Those things are going to be powerful. If those things are used to good use, then we're okay. If those things are on the other side of the wall, then definitely it's going to be a lot of trouble. In terms of abuse, I mean, personally, maybe because of the ChatGPT, I right now see everywhere on LinkedIn professional services that are using or claiming to use the capabilities of OpenAI for any business use. And they put themselves as an intermediary with APIs. We all love APIs. Now, this sounds very appealing, but you have no idea who's actually behind it, what type of AI they are using, and who are you actually feeding with your data.
So the obvious question out that, and it's a question that has challenged cybersecurity forever, is can we build our wall faster than the bad guys can build their ladder?
No.
Well, you don't see AI as giving us any opportunity to get there.
It gives us a little bit speed, but they are faster. Unfortunately, that's the life.
And they were always faster.
Yep.
Because they have no ethics. So they have no rules. They don't have to spend time. And I would say they have unlimited resources most of the time, because we have to remember that there are also governments behind the black side, and they have unlimited resources.
And the usual delay of people having, let's say, this white hats protecting. We are waiting for the vendor to have a proper product, to make a marketing, to sell it, to have trained and to have it.
We tested.
They don't do it. They don't.
Time.
They don't care about the working hours, hygiene, the software purity, how to write down the software, how to steal the pieces of software left and right. They just create something with a duct tape, but it's flying, unfortunately.
That's true. They don't remove bugs.
They don't care.
It's a really fast path to achieve goals. So what we can do, we can put AI against it, hoping that it will self-learn that quickly that the impact will be very little, because the impact will be definitely.
And like we said, come to the basis. Multi-layer defense, because in other cases you will just not be able to rely on only one tool. Total set of approaches, tools, and everything you have inside your company. That is something that goes to the security.
I'm really glad you opened that box of modular defense.
Sorry.
Because it's a challenge for companies. A lot of companies buy a platform, then they realize it doesn't have all the bits that they want, so they'll go and buy something else and mix it with the platform. Big companies buy from multiple vendors, and they live with the overlap and they merge those together. They create these modules that work together. But if we think about AI, we've talked about AI here as a generic thing, as if it is one thing. In reality, as AI as tools out there for cybersecurity, there's going to be as many of them out there as there are our security tools to solve other problems out there at this moment in time. So in the same way that APIs have started to enable us to bring things together, how do we create an AI environment where actually, when we come back to AI against AI, I buy AI from vendor A, I buy AI from vendor B, and I spend most of my life trying to make those two work together and not fight each other, while the bad guys are using their AI and taking my company to pieces. Where do we get that integration between AIs?
That's a very technical question.
No, you would like to integrate them at the level of the cognitive moment? Never, unfortunately never. Those engines are just different. Those are different tools. And just interfering one with another will allow us to get to the situation, most probably when two of the intelligent bots, they start to talk, and at a certain point, they talk the language that we don't understand. So it is good that they are talking or not. We, the creators, the humans, we are afraid what they are talking about. We switch off both of them. That will be the result if we will just let them go. So at the level of cognitive, apart we just said 8% of the data can just destroy the thing, the predictable results. At the moment of the processing and delivering results, of cognitive thinking, preparation, and preparing predictions of the results, will not be able. Maybe we'll be able at the level of certain levels. Okay, from the triage, AI protecting, the protector, the guard, the guard keeper, give us information about this, and this. Our super forensic AI will say, call human, start this, do the service, inform CERT, do something else, react. Or I had some ideas, maybe even not start with zero. This is the set of, I don't know, playbooks, preferably, to run in the situation that we are having. I don't believe in a full integration like an API type. It's just too sensitive for changes.
Yeah, I think it will come with the specialty. I mean, you're going to have the ones that are really good at, for example, analyzing your internal, let's say, hardware and predicting what is the probability of the failure or stuff like this. And you're going to have another one which will be excellent at, for example, decision-making process in terms of what's going to happen on the next level. I don't think that you will be able to combine the two, like, okay, I have two, they do the same, maybe if they talk to each other, the results will be better. No, I don't believe so. There is a specialty in those, in terms of how they process the data and what are the learning algorithms.
So how do we then, as consumers of those AI systems, get to a point of knowing which one we trust more than the other?
We don't trust the algorithms, we trust the brands behind. As simple as that. I mean, probably we have, okay, we're a bit weird people here, but an average consumer would not know how many AIs are actually behind the fact that today he's doing what he's doing. He's traveling that road, he's, I don't know, having that coffee. We are not aware. We are not aware. This is simply behind, and we decided, I think, as a society, that in the sake of our convenience, we already lost our privacy. So,
And also, we as humans, we should stop to treat AI like a temperature meter. What is the temperature? You don't ask AI. You just go to see. This is 16. Maybe you can open this in your mobile. For the AI, you should ask the question: what is your suggestion for a dress today? That's a different approach. And because of the diary, of the calendar and stuff like this, it will just prepare something for it. That's the good question for AI. But what's the temperature? Come on, it's just too simple.
But you said you open your mobile phone to check the temperature.
Sorry.
There is no thermometer in the phone. Yeah?
But
so probably it's kind of intelligence behind that will show you
It's just
temperature. And several services that provide the information. As long as end users, not aware, are happy with the results, the coffee tastes good, the road is nice and short and fast, they don't think what is behind. If these are algorithms, if these are humans, just hundreds of thousands of humans sitting and making receipts for their life, they don't care. We as cybersecurity professionals are aware because, or we should be aware because we should be also aware of the impact we are expected to protect. So we have to dive deeper. At the moment, the approach uses several tools for the same task to compare them. How effective they are is, I think, the best approach. It is very popular in threat intelligence that not few sources of information is used to build hundreds of sources. They overlap each other, but it's okay. We can take the best, or we can take the results that are most common within all those sources. And this is computing power is cheap. So we can, as long as, of course, there are no huge brands behind and there is a lot of money to spend to have this comfort of multiple sources, we should take this approach at the moment. Maybe in the future we will take better control over AI. Or we will be more sure that it wasn't affected with the result set or any quite simple way of affecting or steering the AI to the wrong direction, because it is simple at the moment.
Yeah, I think as a consumers, we don't ask so many questions to ourselves. We just,
As long as we
my
are
colleague
happy, we don't ask
and
questions.
we trust the brand and most probably to the government as well. Like if it is the US company or Chinese. Me personally, I more trust the US companies than Chinese. I'm not sure about you, but yeah, as a consumers, you expect the results, and sometimes they don't even know if this is AI behind it or maybe any smart guy from Elon Musk company. Doesn't matter.
I knew I wasn't the average consumer when my wife asked me why I was reading an end-user license agreement the other day. And I was muttering once again about the software industry selling me stuff and then saying, but we're not liable for it not working. if only my car manufacturer took that line. Not. So I think the one thing that's come positively out of this is that there is a future for AI in cybersecurity. We need to make a future for AI in cybersecurity. So I'm going to ask you all to sum up very quickly in just a few words what you think the future for cybersecurity is. Would you like to start?
Not predictable.
That's fine.
Oh, that's not an easy question. What's the future? We will see it everywhere, definitely. Hope it will. The visions from the science fiction novels won't happen. That we are in a matrix steered by AI. Hope it doesn't happen.
I think we already see a hype for cybersecurity, and AI is just another level. I agree that this is unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen. No one has the crystal ball, but definitely.
But this is great. Something new will come.
Yeah, exactly, and hopefully it's going to be something good for us.
I would say that the future will be regulated.
Again.
I believe that there is already an understanding that this needs a certain regulation. So the future of AI, it's going to be regulated. It's not mean it's going to be always safe, but definitely it's going to be regulated.
Cool. Gentlemen, thank you very much for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
And we're out.